Thank you for visiting my channel. If you're new here, I haven't been here in a while. If you're new here, my name is Miriam. I do readings. Um, I say the things that come to my mind. And today, in particular, I don't specifically have a message to share from the guides as I usually do. Today, whether or not I come back to doing this as regularly as I was or not, I wanted to talk about my own feelings on a matter. There have been lots of emails. I say lots, but like there's been like 4 or 5 emails. People have been asking me where I'm at, and I have like a couple people who will message me on Patreon um, and other places. But I've been silent pretty much on all platforms. And that is because I have built a fear of you guys. Not the whole of you all, but just enough of you all to make me uncomfortable putting myself out there. Um, it's my own things for sure. Everything kind of comes back to ourselves, and so I've spent time meditating on that. I've spent time reflecting on it and seeing how I choose to navigate how my presence is received until my vibration is to the point that I'm able to receive people who aren't falling in so much disrespect to my energy. Um, because if I allow people to treat me like that, then I am disrespecting myself essentially. Um, so I'll tell you a little story about one person in particular who uh, made a couple of different things to like different profiles in order to communicate with me as multiple people. And that's fine. Do you. Like, that's your effort and your time and your energy. So, if anybody else wants to make multiple profiles and pretend to be people, do you. That is your life. But the intent was clearly to get whatever information they could out of me. Um, so my issue with that is that I'm pretty open already. I already allow quite a bit of access to me. And a lot of times, this is a male, a straight male who I just wouldn't expect. I mean, I assume straight. He was interested in me sexually, so at least that part, you know. Um, but he felt the need to do this because of I don't know. I don't know. Now, I've had people block me on Patreon before, here and there, whatever. Um, because like sometimes people are like really embarrassed. Sometimes when people are really embarrassed to be getting things from me, like readings from me, and like people don't like they don't want people to know what they're into or whatever, what they're into. But in this case, it was a lot of really obscene and rude things that were said to me, and then being blocked after that. And this was early on, and then there was a slight influx of Patreon subscribers or whatever. Um, and so I was like a little bit like, oh, this is too good to be true. And so when the other accounts came out, I kind of assumed that he had also done like Patreons and whatnot too. Um, so far from what I see, that is not the case. That has not been the case. It's just been on other platforms. I tell people about my stuff. I tell people about my story or whatever, and like it was like hard for me to notice it because I'm not really on other platforms either. It was just like very old things that like or relatively old things or places that I post very rarely. Um, but just again trying to get information about me. I personally get very frustrated about it because of how open I am about a lot of things. If you want to get to know me, you can get to know me as a person. But wanting to know how many people I live with, wanting to know exactly which like side of what city in which state I live, like just trying to get a lot of information about me as if it's not. I mean, honestly, I wish my information was more difficult to find. It's not. I'm not actively trying to hide anything about myself. I talk to people about myself a lot. I make videos, all that stuff. So for me, when somebody's actively trying to get more out of me and they barely even know me, it can be very off-putting to say the least. So, and I'm trying to say things without being mean or anything because like for me, people wanting to get information like that means that they want to be around me physically, that they're actively trying to find me physically in a way that if you were just like a customer, you could just be a customer. You know, I do these things already. I already do in-person readings. I already do stuff like this, especially like if you're somebody who's local, then you probably know about me. You know, I mean, I'm not saying all locals know about me. It's a huge city, like, but you know, local to my area, then you'll probably know a little bit about me. If you run into some of my circles, then you'll probably know about me or whatever. Um, so the messages often were late at night. This happens a lot though. So like, I feel like some people are gonna feel really called out because they message me late at night. Almost everybody messages me late at night. That's when people start thinking about the existential. But this is when who message me late at night and tell me sexual things. Again, also people do send me a lot of sexual stuff. I don't really notice it that much. Like people just be feeling some type of way about all this, you know? So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make it less this, you know? But anyway, the messages were often very inappropriate. And so, you know, there was like, okay, let me get rid of all this. Let me block this guy and like, get rid of all his connections and stuff. And then I realized like I can't live like that. I just don't give a shit if you're gonna make a bunch of profiles and try and see where I'm at or whatever. Like you could have just been fucking normal about it. You know, people could just ask normal things. If you want a reading, you can ask for a reading, but actively asking me to do just things that I don't do, um, disrespecting my boundaries essentially. And so I had to I had to decide, or I decided to decide that maybe one day my words will have me killed. Maybe one day the things that I do will have me around people that I don't want to be around. Maybe. Um, but I choose to believe that if I have something to say, I shouldn't let people who just aren't ready for me stop me. Confirmation burp. And when I say that, that's why I notice that when people are around me and they often sexualize me, see me as an opportunity, just try and see what they can siphon from me. A lot of times they are not ready to hear the word. They are not ready to speak with their guides all the way. They're not ready to hear what angels have been trying to tell them. Right now, they see a face that looks like my face. And this face is something of a, or these types of faces are things that people want to listen to when it comes to um, like woo woo stuff. Because like in the 90s, the only way that people might like me, this this mixed girl, they were just always like hippies in the 90s. So it's like easy to accept that trope. Um, and I just happened to be a hippie. And so I'm fine with having my face out there and people accepting the fact that this is what it is. I'm fine with people sexualizing me. They've been doing it my whole life. I don't. I like to say that it's something in my stars. I've got a lot of Scorpio on my chart, so maybe just people can't help themselves around me or whatever, or even virtually around me. Um, but you know what? Do what you're gonna do. What I will say is I'm sending unconditional love out. And it still brings me fear that if I let all my love out, people will take that as an invitation to use and abuse me because that's what happens a lot in my life. And there are people who are not near as bad as this person who is, I'm not going to show anything, but not as bad as that person in particular. But there are still people who actively push the boundary and try and get to know things about me and try and, you know, see what they can find out and see what they can siphon as if I'm not already pouring in. And that can be very disheartening because sometimes it feels like people aren't talking to me to hear what I have to say. They're just talking to me to see if they can get my attention. And so they steal from me in that way. And I'm like, you could have it. It was free. You came into the shop, it was a free item. You came and grabbed it and snatched it and run away. Now you tripped and fell and skinned your knee. When you could have just grabbed it, walked away, had a good day. It was already free and available. But while you were running out of the store, now you done knocked over the chips. Now you done knocked over all this stuff. Now I got to do things because you were trying to be a thief. Anyway, if there's any message in there for you, I hope you got it. Um, Not specifically any person, not you, but maybe you, or maybe you. But that's what I have to say for now. And to keep a lookout for the numbers and stay synchronized.